Welcome to NAVA Podcast with Leah Cardenas and Stella Pashos.
Let's explore the true essence of NAVA.
NAVA embodies the concept of beauty in all its forms. It represents the inner radiance that each woman possesses and the unique qualities that make her truly remarkable.
Our mission is to share the stories of inspiring women who are making their mark in the areas of fashion, health, lifestyle, and family. Our aim is to curate meaningful conversations where the journeys and experiences of our guests can inspire you in your own life.
We started this podcast to create a space where everyone can feel beautiful, inspired, and empowered.
NAVA is not just a podcast, it's a celebration of the incredible women who have shaped our lives and the countless others who are yet to share their stories.
We can't wait for you to join us.
Hello again, here we are.
How are you?
I'm really good. I don't have any qualms this week, which is unusual for me. How are you?
You make yourself sound so negative. You are not negative.
I was listening to, I think the CEO of Showpo posted it.
Yeah.
And she was saying that she, like her number one thing in life is like hates complainers.
Yeah.
Do not complain. Either think like, what are you going to do about something, or if it's out of your control, then it is what it is.
Yeah.
I was like, it's such a good mantra to live by.
But it's really not Eastern European. I think we thrive off complaining about things.
Is that what it is? Okay, I'll go back to
Don't stray away from your roots. No, my qualm is overly positive people.
Really?
No, I'm just being silly. But seriously.
Yeah, sometimes you just want to sit and think. But I'm having a good week, Leah. So
Yeah.
What have you been up to?
Well, we had my baby sprinkle.
Yeah, that was so much fun. That was
Yes.
all like, we really need to paint the scene for everyone. Can you describe all the effort you put in? Because it was gorgeous.
Oh, thank you. It was meant to be simple. I remember we were talking about it ages ago. I was just like, oh, let's just go to a cafe and have a coffee. And you were like, no. You convinced me.
Sorry. And then it turned into, we need to find smoke glasses.
To match the aesthetic.
What was the aesthetic? Tell us.
It was neutrals and browns and dried flowers. That was the theme. Ended up having like a 5-meter table. 18 just close friends and family.
Beautiful.
And had just beautiful Mediterranean feast, basically.
Yeah, it was delicious. And what was your favourite item that you received for Florence's room?
Well, it was definitely your gift.
I feel like she has to say this, you guys.
I love it. It's beautiful, fluffy insert for my Charlie Crane rocker. Yeah.
Love it. It is gorgeous.
We use that a lot for Isla, and I just wanted to have something fresh for Florence, especially because the weather is so cold right now. Yeah.
You had a moment at the baby sprinkle.
I cried. I forgot my best friend's baby's name, and he's like 2.5. It was just like blankness of mind.
Well, all is forgiven, I'm sure. Maybe she won't forget that one.
Probably not. Yeah. What about you?
One of my key takeaways from this episode, which we absolutely loved, was talking about nutritional depletion.
Yes.
And how important it is in the lead up to pregnancy. I think it can be so easy for people to kind of be swayed about, like focusing on the baby and what's needed, pram and nursery, etc. Whereas Shannon talks about a lot is that 4th trimester and that care, as you were saying, starts with you. And so what I took away was how vital it is to check like your nutrient levels to make sure you're not depleted in any areas because of how prevalent postpartum depression is. Like, let's go into this new phase of life and change, being as prepared as we can. And that might just start with just checking our bloods and our nutrient levels. And I think that's so important for anything, like regularly, routinely. I have like a bunch of girlfriends that are pregnant at the moment, and I've all passed on all that information. And as well, they're getting married, like a few are getting married. So like go into this busy period by checking and making sure that you're fine.
Yeah, so good. And you had a very special other event this weekend as well.
Did I?
Your brother's wedding.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God, it's been so busy. So I'm pretty sure, because I feel like I have baby brain 2 right now, but I went to New Zealand. Was that the same week?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I travel around Australia and New Zealand for work a lot. So typically I'm going back and forth between Sydney, as we know. And then this week I had some customer visits in Auckland. Had never been to Auckland.
How was it?
Really nice. Had really nice weather that week as well. But just love the culture, love the people. My clients are like, yeah, super nice. I wanted to go get drinks and take me around. So it was really, really nice. And then came back and it was my brother's weekend, celebrating his wedding to his beautiful partner. And yeah, it was just a beautiful day. It's just such a rush, like the whole wedding. I feel like there's so much effort that goes into it. And then in the morning, I remember we had like some festivities at the house and some Greek dancing.
And there was a smashing of a plate.
There was. We smashed the plate as the groom, or like the child, or the leaves the house to represent the new chapter. So it's really nice. So you kind of like, you throw rice behind you to say for my past, and then you throw rice forward to like bless your future, and then you smash the plate, and then it's happening. But yeah, I remember looking at my brother as we were dancing and just saying like, take this in, because this is super special.
Oh, so lovely. And are you reading anything at the moment or watching anything at the moment?
I am working through It Ends With Us. It's coming out in the movies in September or August, I think, in August.
Yes.
And so I want to get through it. It covers a lot of beautiful themes and triggering themes like domestic violence. And this is my second Colleen Hoover book, but I'm excited to finish it off. I won't give too much away.
Amazing.
All right, thanks so much. We'll enjoy the episode and see you on the other side.
Bye. Today, we're thrilled to welcome Shannon, founder of Mothers Mylk, a passionate advocate for breastfeeding support and education. Shannon's journey began from personal breastfeeding challenges, inspiring her to create Mothers Mylk. We're so excited to have her join us on the podcast. Hi, Shannon.
Hi, thanks, girls. Thanks for having me.
We're going to kick off by jumping into our 90 seconds with. Are you ready?
I think so.
As this season is all about motherhood, these questions are motherhood focused. We'll kick off with the first one. What's the most surprising thing about becoming a mum?
I think just how fast time goes. Like they truly grow up so quick.
What is your favorite way to relax when you have a moment to yourself?
I really enjoy Pilates, or just like binge watching something on Netflix. Yeah.
What's your go-to family dinner?
Oh, anything that's like involves one pot or slow cooked.
What's your favorite family tradition?
So every year for my eldest son's birthday, we all get together as a family and we hire a barbecue boat up on the Noosa River to celebrate. And yeah, we've done that like every year since he was born in January 2020.
You definitely take the cake for winning the best answer to that question. That's incredible. Okay, this one's going to be helpful to a lot of people. How do you manage sleepless nights?
I honestly don't know. I feel like it doesn't get easier. You just get used to it, but definitely focusing on nourishing my body and like making sure, I have a protein packed breakfast and sustaining energy that way and not just like diving straight into a coffee as soon as I wake up.
What is the best mum hack you have discovered? And we'll finish up on that one.
Always having snacks on hand.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, we can't wait to get into Mothers Mylk. Can you share a little bit about yourself and what inspired you to start it?
Yeah. So it all started back when I had my first son in 2020 and, it was the middle of COVID and I thought I was prepared for motherhood, but in hindsight, I wasn't. I had done all the things for preparing the nursery and researching all the gadgets and the best pram to have and things like that. I attended all my appointments and did all those sort of things. But then after the baby came, that's, I guess, when the real work began. And that's sort of when I was left on my own to figure it out. Like, I didn't have the support team. I didn't have my midwife anymore. And yeah, being, the middle of COVID, I was really like isolated, I guess. And yeah, I ended up like, I didn't know how to take care of myself postpartum. I didn't know the importance of nourishing my body after birth. And I ended up getting pretty severe postpartum depression and postpartum depletion. And it was a pretty like horrific start to motherhood. Those first 6 months were really, really challenging. It did get really dark at times. Yeah, and it was not until 6 months postpartum, I think, that I actually started getting some help and learning about, like, I had nutritional deficiencies and I had iron depletion and my thyroid levels were, through the roof. I had vitamin D deficiency, like all of these things going on that was contributing to my, poor mental health. And if I had have just known or been given, the right education and support, all of that could have been prevented and I could have had, a smoother transition into motherhood. So long story short, that's like my journey into motherhood. And then when I fell pregnant with my second son, I was like, I'm not going to do that again. There's got to be a better way. And I thought to myself, I wish there was some sort of like postpartum guide, like a rule book sort of thing to tell me like, these are the things that you need to do. And these are the things you need to like prepare for whilst you're pregnant and going into, the fourth trimester. And so that's when I like came up with the idea of Mothers Mylk. And I reached out to my business partner and naturopath, Alana, and yeah, together we wrote our book, Nourish Postpartum. And that we published that in 2021. Yeah. So that's how we got here.
There is so much to unpack there. I'm so sorry that you had such a rough experience postpartum. And it's really sad that it's not an uncommon story, especially in, I think, our Western culture and our society. I was so happy that your book was around when I fell pregnant with my first in 2021. And just having some information out there on how to look after yourself postpartum is so important. And you're right, it can be very, very depleting. Did you have a difficult pregnancy that you feel like maybe caused a lot of that depletion? Or was it just, it was smooth sailing and you still experienced it?
I actually had a really easy and smooth pregnancy. I did have like some mild iron deficiency. But apart from that, yeah, I think it was just a really easy pregnancy. So that probably, made things a bit like I was a bit more ignorant. Is that the right word?
No.
I didn't really know what to expect,
Yeah.
know what could go wrong or yeah.
Yeah, that just goes to show that you don't have to have hyperemesis or a really difficult pregnancy for your body to get depleted, because the baby does just suck everything out of you. And I think that's why a lot of the information in your book is really great about just restoring the mother to help get through that postpartum period.
I think it's really interesting too, as I have a lot of girlfriends who have recently had bubs, and it shocks me as someone that hasn't had children yet to see what kind of help my friends have during those, during your pregnancy or during those, first 6 months or year of having a newborn and all these changes that occur. But even just speaking to you now, and I was listening to a podcast with Alana earlier today where she mentioned about potentially the importance of doing like a blood test before you're pregnant to see where all your depletions are or your levels are at, so that when you do have your baby, we're not trying to remedy things when we could potentially have prevented them earlier. So I think that raises a really, really good point too.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love this line in your book. I've got it here in front of me, courtesy of Leah, where you share that you truly believe the best thing a mother can do for her baby is invest in her own health and plan for her fourth trimester. And you mentioned this just a moment ago as well. Could you talk to us a little bit more about the idea of the fourth trimester?
Yeah. So I guess, like, speaking of my own experience, going into motherhood for the first time, you don't really know what to expect. So you don't know what you don't know. And society, like, everything's baby focused. So we, invest all our time in preparing for the baby. But in reality, newborns don't need a lot. They just need a healthy mum, So that's why it's so important for mums to take care of themselves and really nourish themselves, because if mum's not well, then you can't take care of everybody else. Like, you can't take care of your family.
Comparing your first pregnancy to your second, having a little bit more information after working on your book and having that really difficult experience, did you have a better postpartum experience in your second one?
Oh, it was so different. In terms of pregnancy, I think my second pregnancy was definitely harder because I was so big. My youngest was such a big baby, and obviously, like, I had a toddler to look after as well, so you don't get time to rest. But the postpartum period, like, I was so prepared, and it was just such a beautiful time. Like, I would do it all over again in a heartbeat. It was just calm, relaxing. Like, even though I was sleep deprived, I'd wake up feeling refreshed, and I didn't feel like I'd woken up feeling like I'd been hit by a bus, sort of thing. So it just goes to show that, like, you can be sleep deprived but still feel human and function. And do you know what I mean? Like, there is a huge difference that nutrition can make to the way you feel.
That's so encouraging. So listeners, make sure you purchase Nourish Postpartum and be prepared for that fourth trimester. What were some of the personal challenges you faced with breastfeeding, and how did they influence the creation of your brand?
I think because I was so depleted postpartum, I wasn't getting the nutrients I needed to have, a healthy milk supply. And, like, the baby truly takes everything from you. Our nutrient requirements are higher during breastfeeding than they are whilst you're pregnant. So it's so important, especially if you're breastfeeding, to stay on your prenatal supplement and to be nourishing yourself with, all of those nutrients that your baby is just taking from you. So I didn't do that. And yeah, I did have to stop breastfeeding at around 3 months because I had a low supply. I had thyroid issues. And when I think about it now, it probably wasn't that it was like a low supply. It was just that I had all these things going on. Yeah, my body just couldn't keep up, pretty much. It was, like, so depleted. So yeah, that was really challenging. And, it was hard for me to make the decision to give my son formula. And I felt really guilty, and I felt like I had done something wrong, and, I'd failed and I wasn't enough and all of that sort of thing. we do as mums put a lot of pressure on ourselves. But yeah, at the end of the day, it was one of the best decisions that I made. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a really common and difficult journey that a lot of women face. That pressure to feel like your body's made to do it. So why can't
Mm.
I do that? For me, I found the first few months of breastfeeding fine, but unfortunately, or fortunately, I did fall pregnant again during that time. Um, and I was just so sick, and I had to stop breastfeeding. Unfortunately, we lost that baby, but it's just amazing how hormonal changes and just feeling depleted can impact your supply so rapidly.
Mm.
And unfortunately, there's not enough information and support out there. So it's really great what you guys are doing with Mother's Mylk to, I guess, contribute to the conversation and to let other women know that they're not alone, that these things do happen, and there are maybe some other options available.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's often not just like one thing that mums need. You know, it can be, you might be nutritionally depleted, but then it takes a toll on your mental health. And then you've got breastfeeding challenges. So you need, support from a lactation consultant. And it's just all of the things, like mums need so much support in that fourth trimester and like the first year after birth, really. Like we need so much support, and there's so many women who just are left to their own devices, and who are just like, struggling through. And yeah, it makes me sad, like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And unfortunately, sometimes you can reach out for help, but not everyone is quite sensitive to a new mum. I feel like there's a lot of pressure and
Mm,
expectation, like, I'll just try this, or that's normal. Like, I hated hearing in
mm,
your excerpt from your book that you went to the doctor and you're like, I'm exhausted, I'm tired, there's something wrong. And they're just like,
mhm.
oh no, that's normal. But like it's not.
Yeah,
So that's
yeah,
it's really hard and sad that does happen. Yeah.
yeah. So common that that happens. And GPs are great, but they can't provide everything that mums need in a 10-minute appointment.
Yeah.
Um, it's they're at capacity. Like our
Mhm.
medical system is just at capacity. So having someone like a naturopath or a nutritionist, or our book, or we've got a membership for only $19 a month. We can get access to all of this support when these hurdles pop up. So yeah.
I love that you shared, and thank you so much for being vulnerable with us and sharing that. You wake up from your sleepless night, and you shouldn't feel the status quo is to feel like shit and
Mm,
to feel crap and to not be able to
mm,
go about your day, and totally resonate that would be the case for a lot of people. But I love that you shared that it could not only be that you've had your sleepless night, there could be some other things going on. um
mm,
and that's, I think, very helpful for people to not just, and to your point, Leah, people giving advice to be like, oh, we'll try this and try that. And maybe we shouldn't normalize that there should be a quick fix for those things. Perhaps there should be further investigation with those additional services like a naturopath and so on. Um,
yeah, absolutely.
Having something like Mother's Mylk has just opened my eyes, as someone that attends baby showers, and my friends have given birth, and resources we can be giving to people that may not have heard of brands like yours or services like yours, to open their
Mm,
eyes and know that there is support beyond their mother's group. And I think it's a really great gift option as well, to be able to gift a book,
mm.
and to gift your services. Could you talk to us a little bit about some of the key topics and insights that you uncover in both your book? We'll start with your book, but then also what your services offer as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So the book is, I like to call it a fourth trimester survival guide. So we talk about postpartum hormones, like what to expect, postpartum bleeding. Um, we talk about like postpartum nutrition, and those really essential nutrients that are in high demand in that postpartum period. And then, of course, we've got 60 recipes that are designed specifically to nourish mums after birth. So lots of, iron-rich foods, warming foods, that sort of thing. We've also got a postpartum checklist. So some things that you can do whilst you're pregnant and preparing for, the after birth. And that includes things like your 6-week postpartum checkup with your GP. That should include, you getting these blood tests. Not every mum gets offered these blood tests, and they're things that can be picked up in the early days, so you can prevent becoming depleted, and then you can prevent, things like postpartum depression. Also things like checking in with the pelvic floor physio. We also give you safe postpartum exercises to do in the first 6 weeks after birth. There's just, loads of things that mums don't think of and that they're not, told about. Yeah.
I read something today that was like, if you don't know what to pursue, then pursue yourself and really focus in. And I feel like that'd be so relevant for any change, especially, that new period where you don't know where to start with things. Start with that self-care for yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what are some of the biggest challenges you feel like new mums are facing today in that postpartum period?
I feel like, again, speaking from my own experience, it's the depletion and being labeled as a normal part of motherhood. So the statistics are that up to 50% of mothers will experience some level of depletion, and up to 1 in 5 mums experience postpartum depression. So that's really high statistics. And it's, things that potentially can be prevented if we have the right support and have the right education.
And I think that extends to, in that group of statistics, that it's 10 years is the time period that depletion can extend to, which is just wild when you think about it. And changes in dynamics and family life as you live with that depletion. So I think that's a very, very important topic to raise awareness to.
Yeah.
And just going back to the breastfeeding, what do you feel like some of the misconceptions are that women might encounter? And how do you feel like it would be a good way to address them?
I think one of them is that you should stop your natal supplement after birth. You should definitely continue your natal supplement after birth. I personally wasn't told to continue my natal supplement after birth, and I, was breastfeeding. And like I said earlier, that's when your nutrient demands are at their highest. So, I think that's probably one of the most common misconceptions.
Yeah, that's really good. And just a really easy thing that you can implement.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at the the list of resources in the Motherhood membership. I think this is an excellent resource that you guys have provided and collaborated to enable women to access. Some of the topics that you cover around supplementing, as you've mentioned, blood testing, the 6-week postpartum checkup, which I think that's fantastic, the depletion recovery, iron deficiency, breastfeeding, and the postpartum exercises that can be gentle too for that initial period. One thing that stood out to me was mum rage. Could you talk to us about that topic?
Yeah, it's something I think mums don't often, it's so common, but it's something we don't often talk about because we're, ashamed. We recently hosted a mum rage masterclass with our registered psychologist, and I basically shared my experience with mum rage, and Jacqueline spoke to, why it occurs and, things that you can do to prevent it and that sort of thing.
What are some of the tips or maybe like one or two things that a mum can put in place to help prevent getting to that point of heightened emotion?
So first of all, don't skip meals. Make sure you have, a nice high protein breakfast before your coffee. You don't want to have coffee on an empty stomach. And also, like, really learning to know your triggers. It takes practice, but you can start to feel like tension in your chest, sort of thing. You just Everybody's so different, but for me, like, I feel tension in my chest. You can just almost like feel it boiling up, and at that point, like, if you become aware of your triggers, you can sort of take a moment to breathe and think deeper, like, what's missing, like, why am I feeling like this? And then you might realize, oh, I haven't eaten all morning, so my blood sugar is shot, so I'll just have something to eat. It might be something as simple as that. That's just like one example, but yeah, that's sort of how I like to look at it, and that's something that I've been working with my own psychologist, because I also have ADHD, so I've got a history of mental health issues as well.
Yeah, I think that's really great, being self-aware, knowing your triggers, and just putting things in place to help you do better and be better, because we can't be perfect all the time. And I think there's
Mm,
always this pressure to be super mum, have it all together,
mm,
don't have to or you don't
yeah.
you don't feel comfortable sharing with your support network. And I think that's the other thing. I think having a good support network, whether it be a doctor or your partner or a mum friend, someone, because we can't do it
Mm,
alone.
Or the Mother's Milk
yeah,
Village.
Yeah.
exactly. That's it. Yeah.
And up to, I'd love to hear a bit about your ADHD diagnosis.
Yeah, sure. So I was diagnosed, I think it was around April last year, and my son had just turned 3, um, and I was just getting more and more overwhelmed. I thought, at 3 years into motherhood, it should be getting easier. Like, I should be finding my groove. But every day I was just getting more and more overwhelmed and just felt like I was, barely hanging on. Um, and so I went to my GP, and luckily I had a really good GP at that time who, yeah, picked it up. And it's not something that I'd even considered because, when you think of ADHD, you think of a hyperactive little boy who's, jumping off the walls and things like that. That wasn't me. But I now know that ADHD can present really, really differently in females. So yeah, I had a good GP who referred me to a psychiatrist, and yeah, did all the testing, and I went down the route of medication, because even though I was really hesitant to try it, I I thought this could be life changing, and wasn't going to know unless I tried it. And I remember the day that I tried it, and it was like someone had given me a pair of glasses, and I could see clearly. It was just life changing. So yeah, that's like long story short, but I'm doing really good now. So I mean, I still have my moments of mum rage, but I think it's answered a lot of questions, and it's explained a lot of my, you know, childhood and teenage years and, early adolescence, and just it's explained, like, I feel like I understand myself finally, and things like make sense why I do certain things. And yeah, I've been like working with my psychologist, and I know my triggers now, and yeah, it's just been a life-changing experience.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. My sister recently went through her identification of ADHD, and I just feel like it helps take out the frustration of some of the things, like where something, like for her, it was like, where is this? Or like, why can't I complete a simple task? Why do I need someone to literally be over me? And I was like, oh, do I have this too? She's like, you should get tested anyway. But I feel like it definitely take the frustration out of, why am I doing things in this way? And so, yeah, another topic that's really important we bring heightened awareness to. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we do actually cover. I did another like a mini masterclass, I think you want to call it, with our psychologist. So it's really interesting. And again, like Jacqueline goes into the why it happens, and like tools to support yourself, and yeah, it's an interesting topic, and it's actually a lot more common than we realize.
And it's so great that the stigma is slowly disappearing and people are feeling more and more comfortable seeking help and identifying different mental health issues that they may be facing and struggles. So that I think that's really great that we're contributing to the conversation so others can feel more comfortable to come forward.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Now, I heard that a new book might be on the way. Can you spill the tea? Anything?
Well, I can't share too much, but
Obviously.
I can say it's nourishment for beyond the 4th trimester.
Love it. And we don't have a date or anything as yet?
Not yet, but
Not
it's
yet.
so close. So close.
So
Love it.
exciting. Another go-to baby shower gift.
Yeah.
Before we end with our NAVA acronym, I would love to know your go-to meals at the moment. I know your little ones are a little bit older now, but I need inspo. So I've been asking everyone this question.
At the moment, well, because it's winter, like anything's slow cooked. I do our beef brisket quite a bit, because you can, like, it's multi-purpose. You can make beef brisket burgers, beef brisket bowls. It's beautiful with like sweet potato and some green beans. So if I just do like a big batch of that in the slow cooker, that'll last us like 3 nights, and you get some lunches out of it. So that's awesome.
And I'm going to be making a couple meals from the book this weekend, because I've got a mum friend who just had a baby. So she's going to have some lovely, tasty things to put away.
Are there any go-to recipes from the book, Shannon, that Leah should definitely not skip?
Definitely the lactation slice, but just be wary. It can be addictive. Definitely make her the nourish the dal.
That's what I was going to do. I've got the red lentils ready to go.
It is the nourishing dal. Don't doubt yourself.
It looks so
Yeah,
good.
there you go. Yeah.
All right. So NAVA represents our core values, and each letter represents a different topic. We've got navigate, aspire, value, and achieve. For navigate, can you share a time when you had to readjust your goals due to the demands of motherhood?
Every day. Every day, I think, especially like being a business owner, the juggle is real. Like, yeah, I do get torn with motherhood, and then obviously Mother's Mylk is my baby too. But at the end of the day, like, my kids are a priority. So
yeah, I can definitely resonate with that. Every day is just, you may have a plan, but just it's constantly readjusting and being okay that it doesn't go to whatever you may have envisioned. Yeah.
you just have to surrender sometimes.
Yeah.
A is for aspire. What advice would you give to mothers who are hesitant to pursue their dreams due to the responsibilities of parenting?
I think you just have to do it because, like, our needs matter too. Like, we still have to have our life and, pursue things that make us happy outside of motherhood. And at the end of the day, like, if we do those things, it makes us a better parent. If we're unfulfilled and, unsatisfied, then, like, we're not going to enjoy motherhood. So yeah, I think prioritizing yourself and things that make you happy and, make you, like, doing those things that you would do before becoming a parent, it's super important. Like, your life changes a lot when you become a parent, but your life can't stop.
I love that. We were talking to another guest for this season, and there is this real identity shift and change when you do become a mum. And it's almost like you have this pressure that has to be all consuming and all encompassing, yet you mourn your previous self also. And then the mum guilt kicks in, and it's like
Mhm.
you're
Mhm.
re-identifying who you are at this point in your life. So I think that's really important what
Yeah.
you said about you are still you, and that's okay. And you don't have to just identify as a mum.
Yeah. And I think that's something that, like, all of us would go through. Like, I know I certainly did, where you feel a bit like you don't know who you are anymore. And you just sort of feel like, a slave to your kids. But it's, as mothers, like, we're we're constantly evolving. Like, the season is, like, constantly changing, and we learn to adapt. And um yeah, we find ourselves again.
And that constant adaptation is exhausting.
Yeah,
It's just a nonstop
it
cycle.
is. Yeah.
I feel like the topic of women pursuing their dreams is like a never ending rabbit hole of a discussion that has so many different views. And I feel like
Mm,
either way, like it's hard that as women as well, we are so judgmental of what other people choose to do post
mm,
birth. And so some women obviously have the perspective that you should be home with the child, and that's beautiful view as well, if
mm.
that's open and an option. But for the women that are wanting to pursue their dreams and are wanting that something more for their own fulfillment, do you have any, just to close off this one, do you have any like advice for a person that might be feeling a bit of judgment or shame from their inner circle for wanting to pursue something more?
Yeah, like, I think I could never personally be a full-time stay-at-home mum. I really enjoy being creative and, helping others and doing something that, like, fills my soul. Um but I've got friends who want nothing more than to stay at home with their babies, and that's okay. I think everyone is so different, and everyone is entitled to live their life the way that they want. It's not hurt if it's not hurting you, like, who cares?
Yeah.
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 Stop
I
judging
think
others.
yeah, I think we need to just, like, stop judging people and just be kind. Parenting is hard. We're all just doing our best, and everyone's best looks different. Um, so I think, yeah, just be kind and don't judge people.
Yeah.
I love that. Everyone's best looks different. That's really good.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
How do you teach your children the importance of self-worth and taking care of themselves?
Yeah, it's hard being a parent, like, especially when you're got your own big emotions and you're trying to teach them to how to manage theirs. But I think, again, it comes down to, like, prioritizing yourself and your needs, and, like, showing them that, you have needs too, and you're a human too. And um yeah, showing that, like, role modeling, I guess. Like, my kids know that mum and dad we prioritize our exercise and our health and nutrition. Like, they know when mummy or daddy is at the gym. And like, they know when we need time together to work on our like relationship and all of those things. I think just like role modeling and teaching them like boundaries and self-respect, and teaching them about their emotions and feelings and how to self-regulate. Like labeling their emotions. Like, we have an emotion chart at home. It's something I wasn't taught as a kid, and it's really hard to learn it when you're an adult, and especially when you have a child as well. Teaching them about their emotions and things like that. I think that's going to make the biggest impact to their mental health when they're older.
That is such good advice. I feel like, especially for our generation, we didn't really talk about certain emotions and like what you should feel like if you're either happy or you're sad and angry. So I think that's a really beautiful takeaway. All right. To finish off, the last one is A for achieve. As a mother and business owner, what actions have you taken to achieve all your goals, both as a mother and in your career?
I think trying to get the balance right. So I'm really career driven, and I've had to make a lot of sacrifices to make Mothers Mylk work, because this is a real passion of mine, and it's for a bigger mission. I have had to sacrifice time with my kids.
Where that comes from is a really beautiful place. You're speaking to an audience and creating a community based on your own experience. And so the fact that you are making sacrifices, within your own family based on what you went through to prevent other women experiencing something similar, throughout their pregnancy and in that really important fourth trimester, I think is an incredible mission to have. And I would love if, just as a closing note, for you to just share where our listeners could find all the resources and everything Mothers Mylk related.
Yeah, so they can find us online at mothersmylk.co, and that's Mylk, MYLK. And you can find us our Mothers Mylk clinic, where we've got psychologists, naturopaths, nutritionist, sleep consultant. We have a counsellor, a lactation consultant will be starting with us very, very soon. We are hoping to get on a general practitioner very, very soon as well. And of course, our motherhood membership. It's so super supportive, and it's really affordable for anyone, no matter where you are in Australia.
That's so amazing. What a special space that women can go to when they need some help, and so many different professionals there that when you don't even know what help you need, they're all there to help you through that really difficult period. Thank you so much, Shannon, for coming on the podcast and sharing and being so raw and open and honest. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for having me, girls.
That's a wrap for this episode. If you enjoyed this conversation, please subscribe, rate, and leave a review.
And remember, you can always find more episodes and updates on our website and social media page. You can find us on Instagram at NAVA.podcast. Until next time,
keep chasing your dreams and making your mark on the world.